I do my I recorded a video and I was talking about myself and then my name came out. So I had to press re-record. Um, I do my best to keep. I'll just jump straight into it. Hope everyone's doing well. Um, I do my best to keep everything forward thinking. I think that's super important in recovery. Be forward thinking, right? Like as far as it pertains to me in these videos that I make, um, I share, stories of my drinking. I'll talk about my qualifications to speak on this subject because I have many qualifications to speak on this subject, but I try not to dwell too hard on them, and I'll try to use them in a way that relates to what it is I'm talking about. Um, in in the earlier video that I recorded, I said I'll talk about my drinking, but I'll keep it forward thinking. I didn't even realize that was a bar until after I said it, and I was like, "Whoa, talk about the drinking. I keep it forward thinking." Um, and like when I talk about like pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization, like when I first heard that term, when I first heard the term biosocial physiological or whatever, biosocial psycho, bio biopsych social, something like that. Like I needed you to be like, okay, what is that? Like what is that? When I first heard the term like alexithemic, um, I had to be like, okay, what does that mean? Like the whole bio psychosocial is like biological, psychological, and sociological, like relationships. Like your biological, your psychological, and then your social. That's what that is. And then alexithemia is like you're having an emotion and you don't know how to verbalize it, how to describe it. Not going to be talking about those two things today. Not going to be talking about pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization today either. But when I first heard the term pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization, like I did not need any explanation. I did not need to open up the dictionary to know what that meant because I had lived it myself. I just read that and I was like, just thinking back to my own times where I was just demoralized and just in this just depressive state. I don't know how else to even describe it. Like just this terrible state of life, right? Just powerless and just unmanageable. So I do that, right? The whole forward thinking, going back to topic. I do my best to just in my own recovery, and I try to reflect it in these videos. Be a forward thinker. I'll always talk about stories and things that have occurred in my life, but I try not to dwell on it too much. I think I shared on this before the whole conversation of like, are you running away from or are you moving toward this? Like, like as it pertains to relapse, like am I running away from a relapse and just not wanting to relapse? And is that thought consuming my mind every day? I can't relapse. I cannot relapse. I cannot relapse. Or am I moving toward a better future where, like, every day I'm waking up and showing up? I'm doing the things that push me in that direction. Like, I'm taking the steps to, like, become a son, become a man, like save up money, do whatever it is that I'm doing now in my sobriety, in my recovery, you know. And for me, I'm the one who's moving forward, because I know for me, if I'm just constantly filled with this thought of okay, I can't relapse, I can't relapse, I can't relapse. I know that I'm gonna relapse, but if my mind is just all right, this is what I need to do today to push myself forward. That's what I'm going to be doing. Those are the steps I'm going to be taking, right? I want this life. This is a picture of the life that I want. And today, you know, these are the pieces that I could put into place to start or continue building that life. I want a life with a lot of great friendships. Okay, these are the places these are the things that I could do today to continue building on those friendships that I have, you know. I want a life where I have great family relationships. Okay, today these are the things that I could do to keep on doing that. You know, when my mind is thinking that, my mind is not thinking about, like, oh man, you know, remember when you were drinking and this happened, or remember when you were drinking and that happened, or like, oh, like, you know, I'm not driving down the street anymore and like, oh, there's a liquor store there, like, let me go pick up a bottle. Like, when I'm thinking about these things and like these pieces that I could put into place to keep on building my life up, I'm not thinking about, like, I'm not at Ralph's, you know, thinking about, oh man, the liquor aisle is right there, I should get a bottle. Or I don't even have to like walk past it and be like, oh, I can't look at the liquor section. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. It just is what it is because I'm busy, bro. Like, I'm busy. Sorry, alcohol. Like, I'm busy putting these pieces together. You're not one of those pieces. You know? I'm not like, it's, I view alcohol as like the same thing that I would view like a Gucci t-shirt, right? A Gucci t-shirt for me personally, it's just not something that I desire, not something that I'm like seeking after. I don't need it, you know? Or like a what other example? Like a basketball jersey, right? Like a you know, some people wear those basketball jerseys. If you do, good on you. No judgment. Me, I don't watch basketball, so I don't need it. You know? It's just not something that I'm seeking out. Like, I'll walk by like Tilly's or something. Like, I was at Tilly's today actually, just kind of looking around, you know. Nothing, didn't buy anything from there. Or yeah, yeah, I'll just keep on that example. I'm not even looking at the basketball jerseys or whatever they have. Like, I'm walking in there and just looking at like what it is that I came in to look at and then just walking out, you know? I view that like the same way that like when I'm at grocery stores now, I just walk in and it's just like, all right, you know? Cuz I'm just focused on what it is I want. I'm focused on what it is that I'm trying to do for myself, you know? And like that didn't come overnight. Like, I remember when I was in residential the first time I went to the grocery store, or maybe it was in sober living when I first was able to leave the property, like after the 1 week of blackout. But I do remember times where I'd be at the grocery store and like would notice the liquor aisle much more prevalently than I do now. You know, times where I would need an accountability partner or someone to go with me if I wanted to buy cigarettes or candy from like the liquor store that was across the street, or even the gas station, you know? And like, yeah, for my first like 30 or 60 days, like that's just what I needed. But like as I continued doing it and like as my mindset shifted to this like, you know, putting these pieces into place intentionally each and every day, like it's just something that I think about just less and less and less. And like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I never think about alcohol. Like, no, I do. There are times where I think about drinking. There are times where I romanticize drinking, you know, but those times are quickly followed by either telling someone about it, you know, thinking about it a little more critically. I'm trying to think what else. Mainly those two things. Mainly those two things. I'm telling someone about it, certainly, and I'm thinking about it a little more critically. Thinking about, okay, well, where did this take me last time? You know, where did this take me last time, right? Is that a path I want to go down? No. No, it's not. No. Is that a piece that I want to put into, you know, the little house or whatever imagery you want to use, you know, building piece by piece? Is that a piece that I want to put into this thing that I'm building for my life? No. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. And I've those thoughts pass. I wouldn't even call them really cravings because they're not really cravings. I don't know if I've shared this before on here. I've been to the bar a few times now, you know, uh, and I'll say that uh, I'll follow that by saying there were events that I was at at the bar. People knew that I was at the first time I was at the bar. It was a music show that was going on with this group that I volunteer with, and my sober buddies knew that I was at a bar. The second time I was at a bar was for a filmmaking event that my buddy was putting on, and I was helping to facilitate and like run the event a little bit. And my buddy knows that I'm sober. So like each time there was some level of accountability. I'm not and like I'm not just walking into bars. Like I'll say this, I'm not walking into bars like on a Tuesday night. In my 8 months, I've only been to two bars, and they were because I had a reason to go to them. Like even that first like fundraising event, the music show, like I just kind of wanted to go. And when I was there, man, I had a great time. I wasn't I was thinking about getting a non-alcoholic beer, if I'm being honest, but I didn't. I just got a sparkling water and just kicked it. Didn't stay there for too long, but had a good time. Second time, didn't even think about drinking. It was just a really cool, that was a cool event. That was a really cool event my buddy put on. And I was happy to be able to be present. You know, I'm getting paid and I'm not losing money at the bar, you know, and I could go home and like remember everything that happened and also show up for this event that I'm working and not be trashed. Like, it's just all net positives for me. So, those are like some thoughts I have surrounding just being a forward minded individual, you know, just thinking about the future, man. Like, it certainly doesn't come overnight, but like, dude, believe me when I tell you, like, there's a life that I'm building for myself, man. Like, I am busy out here. I'm a busy guy out here building my life, building things up, you know, and things happen fast, things happen quick, and just I feel like that's just because every day is so intentional. I do not wake up and just think, oh, meandering, thoughts. What do they say? Idle hands. I don't do that, man. I don't do that because I know where that's gonna lead me long term. That isn't to say that I'm like some productivity guru who's like, every day you need to do X, Y, and Z, and I run a half marathon every day and wake up at, 4 a.m. Like on the weekends, I'd be sleeping in, dude. You know what I mean? I'd be sleeping in on the weekends. Uh, I take days to myself, but in those days to myself, like, I always try to have some sort of an agenda, and I'm always staying connected in those days too. Like, I don't take those days off in my recovery. I take those days off of work, like my work, the job that I go to, not my recovery. Those are two separate things. My recovery has no days off because my drinking had no days off. Um, but I don't be going. I don't. I hope I don't come across as this dude who like just goes ham and like goes all in all the time. Like, I'd be chilling, I'd be relaxing. Like, that's needed. That rest is needed, right? You can't be going 100 miles an hour, man, all the time. You're gonna crash out. So I don't be doing that either. I don't know. You need to find. I'm not gonna tell you how to find your own happy medium. That needs to be a personal thing that you find. Um, and I don't even know like how. I'm hesitant to even describe like what my own happy medium is because it's like I'm just not gonna do that, respectfully. Um, but I have found that like good middle zone. You need to like be focusing on the recovery. You need to be like working toward it actively every day. but like you can't make the recovery like your entire identity. Like for me now, like showing up as a son is like working toward my recovery. Making smart financial decisions is like a part of like working toward my recovery. Like these different aspects of my life have sort of melted into my recovery, right? Like they've sort of like maybe it's the other way around. My recovery has like morphed into these different aspects of my life because everything just needs to be intentional. So it's like, yeah, I'm not thinking about my sobriety necessarily when I'm like moving money to my investment account. I'm not like thinking about my sobriety when I'm doing that, but like doing that makes me more intentional with the money that I have, which is like a byproduct of my recovery, which I was not that way before. So, that is all to say, uh, you got to keep moving forward, man. You know, I know people who are sober and like still jobless, sober for longer than I've been, twice as long, three times as long, like still got no job, still, not doing much. They're still sober and like respect to them. This isn't to be like, come on, man, but like you gotta be moving forward, bro. There has to be a time where like you just get unstuck, because it's like it's one thing to be sober and it's another thing to like the reasons you get sober. Like I got sober to build a life, bro. So best believe I'm gonna get busy doing that. And those things keep me forward thinking. I don't know your reasons for getting sober, but I didn't get sober to like be depressed and broke and just kind of a pathetic guy. Like I got sober to like be the man that I was supposed to be, bro. And like every day I'm morphing into that, dude. And I've started to tell, bro, like, dude, oh my gosh. I saw the prettiest girl today, dude, and we were chatting it up for so long, bro. And damn, I did chicken out, dude. Like I wasn't like gonna push too hard, but I feel we both left that conversation like, all right, this was a good interaction. I'm not looking for anything. I'm just window shopping when it comes to that sort of thing. But like, I wasn't wearing this fit either. I was wearing something a little better, something a little more. This is just like at home. Anyway, I've started to see some of those things materialize. You know, um, and it's just being forward thinking. So that's all I have. Peace.